Hey, heathens. That's a very special edition of For the Last Time. This is a For the Last Time multiple edition. What does that mean? That means I'm going to talk about several things that we're not going to talk about anymore. Because for the last time, number one, there are no beneficial mutations. Yes, there are. Just because you want to redefine what a mutation is because of your lack of understanding doesn't mean that there aren't any beneficial mutations. And I quote, this is not true, since some changes do confer an advantage in some situations. Okay, that there are, in fact, other mutations. I'll give you the source in a minute. Don't worry, it's coming. But yeah, there are beneficial mutations. If someone has a darker skin color, it is more accustomed to large amounts of sunlight, like if you lived in the Sahara deserts. Light colored skin is more accustomed to living in colder climates, such as living in the Swiss Alps. Notice how many black people you find in the Swiss Alps. Notice how many white people you find in the Sahara Desert. So yeah, in fact, there are some beneficial mutations. But let's move on. So number two, there are no new species that have been formed. Not true. Once again, quote, this is not true. New species have been observed to form. In fact, rapid speciation is something that happens often. Yeah, I'm going to give you the source. Don't worry. It's coming. The Polloksy tracks prove that humans and dinosaurs coexisted. Not true. This is absolutely horribly wrong. And there's multiple things that have proven it wrong. But the reason why you should just go ahead and accept the fact that it's wrong, again, let's wait for the source. Some of you may have already figured it out, but let's continue. Ron Wyatt has found much archaeological proof of the Bible. Quote, there is not the slightest substantiation for Wyatt's claims, just excuses to explain away why evidence is missing. Einstein held unswervingly against enormous peer pressure to believe in a creator. Quote, using the normal meaning of these terms, Einstein believed no such thing. The freaking canopy idea. Okay, this idea that there was a canopy over the earth that protected the earth, or whatever, some craziness, and then the ice melted and it fell and that caused the flood. Okay. Quote, this is not a direct teaching of Scripture. There is no so there is no place for dogmatism. Also, no suitable model has been developed that holds sufficient water, but some creationists suggest a partial canopy may have been present. So, no canopy. Sorry, Batman wearing suit guy. The dust on the moon. Quote, for a long time, creationists claimed that the dust layer on the moon was too thin if dust had truly been falling on it for billions of years. They based this claim on early estimates by evolutionists of the influx of moon dust and worries that the moon landers would sink into this dust layer. But these early estimates were wrong, and by the time of the Apollo landings, NASA was not worried about the sinking. So the dust layer thickness can't be used as proof of a young moon. Okay? Darwin recanted on his deathbed. Quote, many people use this story, however, it is almost certainly not true. And there is no corroboration for those who were closest to him, even from Darwin's wife, Emma, who never liked evolutionary ideas. Also, even if it were true, so what? If Ken Ham renounced the Bible, would that disprove it? I like that one. Evolution is just a theory. Okay? Quote, What people usually mean when they say this is evolution is not proven fact, so it should not be promoted dogmatically. And again, quote, the problem with using the word theory in this case is that scientists use it to mean a well-substantiated explanation of data. Okay, this includes well-known theories such as Einstein's theory of relativity and Newton's theory of gravity. By the way, Einstein disproved Newton. Different story. As well as lesser-known ones such as electrolyte solutions and blah blah blah. But anyway, that's all the bottom line. Stop using the idea that evolution is just a theory as your argument. Microevolution versus macroevolution. Quote, these terms, which focus on small versus large changes, distract from the key issue of information. That is, particles to peoples. Evolution requires changes that increase genetic information, but all we observe is sorting and loss of information, yet we have yet to see even a micro increase in information, although such changes should be frequent if evolution were true. Conversely, we do observe quite macro changes that involve no new information when a control gene is switched on or off. Wait a minute, what? Do you smell something fishy in that last one? You probably should. It's that damn Christian fish, because all of these that I just gave you for the last time should never be used again, because the leading, most quoted, most used source of creationism bullshit, answers in Genesis, say don't use them, including this last one. But let me show them why they shouldn't even use their own counter-argument to why you shouldn't use the argument. These terms, which focus on small versus large changes, blah, 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 distract from the key issue of information. Didn't they just, I used the other one before where they talked about how, in fact, that there are beneficial mutations, but they're saying it has to be a loss of information. Loss of information creates a beneficial mutation. They don't get it. It goes right back to something I said in my other video where I talk about beneficial mutations. And I'm asking a guy, is duplication a mutation? If there is duplication, and duplication does count as a mutation, in other words, having a sixth finger, does that count as a mutation? Of course it does. It's obvious it does. Does that count for additional information? Yes, you got a new finger. And then that finger could change and alter through your micro and macro whatever. So here's the end story of this whole thing. These are all arguments that for the last time stop using, because even other creationists say they're dumb. Okay? So stop using them, because you look dumber than other creationists when you use them. Okay? But don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.